Okay, so now I have that same loop and it is now warped incorrectly. So let's say Live tried to figure out the tempo and it figured out that it's 98.05. Now, in order to get this incorrect, all I really did was type in BPM here, by the way. But that's okay. So it thinks it's 98.05. Now, that's wrong. So, how do we know it's wrong? There's a couple kind of quick ways to tell that it's wrong. First, just listen to it. Let's listen to it against this other beat. See, it's not really lining up right. But another way we can tell, this was a loop. This was a 1 bar loop that I pulled in. So if it's warped correctly, it should seamlessly loop around. Now, not everything you pull in is going to be a seamless 1 bar loop, but this happens to be. So let's just listen to it by itself and see if it seamlessly loops around. Something's weird at the end there, right? That's another good clue that it's not warped correctly. But the best way to tell is to turn the metronome on. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and turn the metronome on. What that's going to tell me is I'm going to listen to where the metronome falls, and it should fall right on the beat of our loop. If it doesn't, then it's not warped correctly. It's not on there, right? It's weird. So this is not warped correctly. Okay, so how do we fix it? You can just go to the BPM box and type in the correct BPM if you know it, but let's assume you don't know it. Let's assume this is just something you're throwing in there. You don't know what it is. The easiest way is to line up your downbeats. Okay, so I'm going to turn the metronome off for just a second. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Actually, that's a little too much. And I'm going to find the downbeats, and I'm going to line them up. So let's hear 2, 3, 4, 1. This one. This sounded to me like the downbeat of beat 3. So I'm going to push that back to there. Okay. Now, how did I know that was the downbeat of beat 3? Let me do that again. I'm going to slow the tempo down. So if I slow the global tempo down, that's going to slow everything down. Okay. So I'm just going to slow this way down. Okay, it's going to sound a little funny, but I'll still be able to hear the beats. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so I'm just going to count the pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so we're going really slow here. So I'm going to count 1 and 2 and. So 1 and 2 and 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and see, it loops around weird. So I'm not quite getting to the end. So I'm just going to count to 2. Okay, so 1 and 2, and then I'm going to line up 2. 1 and 2. So 2 I think is right here. But that's hard to see because we don't have a kick or a snare there. So let's try to go to beat 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so this is in fact our beat 3. So I want to line this up with the grid in the right spot. So 1.3 means bar 1, beat 3. And this sounds like beat 3. So I'm going to push that over to right there. Okay, now let's hear it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that first part of that bar seems right. Right? 1 and 2 and 3. That feels right. Something's wrong with the second part of the bar. 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4. Okay. So something's still wrong here. And the reason it's wrong is that there's a warp marker way out here. Okay, so let's get rid of that warp marker by double clicking on it. Okay. Now that's gone. So Now that that's gone, let's find another spot that we can be sure we're right about. Doesn't really matter where, as long as we're right about where it goes. So here's beat 3. If I could find beat 4, that would be great. I think this is beat 4, but let's just hear it again. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I think this is beat 4, so I'm going to push that over there. And then this is probably the last 16th note of beat 4. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Okay, let's turn the metronome on and see how it lines up. That's pretty good. Okay, so it feels like it lines up with the metronome. Now let's look at what it thinks my BPM is now. 86.99. So that means that we probably have some little mathematical error somewhere, but it's not going to really cause us any damage. So we could just say, okay, yeah, this is 87, and just type in 87 there, and now we're going to be spot on. So if I go back to my original tempo, it's going to be right on. So really what you have to do here is listen for the beats in the clip and line them up with the grid. The more you do it, the more it'll adjust and try to figure out what's right. Now, always less is more. The less warp markers you can use, the less kind of mangling of the sound you'll be doing. So that's why I usually try to go for beats, just line up the downbeats or the middle of the beat or something like that. If I could have gotten it just off this 1-3, that would have been better, but I added beat 4 and then I added the last 16th note of beat 4 just to get that final thing in line, and then it worked. So, but if I still need to do adjustments, I would keep adding beats just to get them right on. Like I could add beat 2 here. It's already in the right spot, so it doesn't really matter, but that would have added more to it to make it even more accurate if I needed it, but I didn't need it because it ended up lining up.